Good afternoon and welcome to Channel Sport on Sunday. My name is Ken Ochonogo. We're not playing today, but we are still breathing because by 5 p.m. tomorrow, Nigeria will try to make history. By 5 p.m. tomorrow, Nigeria will confront some of those things you think, yeah, they were the world champions in 1998. They were the nearly men before them, but when they hosted, they won. Probably when Nigeria do host the World Cup too, we shall also win. So we have this gigantic task, but then we need to make history. And going through France, how easy will it be? They played some of the most wonderful of football in the first two round of matches. In the third round, they've already qualified when they played that particular match, in the third match of the competition. So sometimes we judge them and say, they couldn't score. But then, it's not my turf. Yesterday, the World Cup stayed alive. At a point, we were thinking the World Cup is going to be dead because you can't imagine Brazil being out of the World Cup in the second round at home. Anyway, I have my analysts in the house, and that is how we are going to start Channel Sport on Sunday. Jimmy.
Yes, it's a pleasure to be back on set. It's a great feeling. The World Cup is alive, and I'm happy to be alive as well.
Okay, Larry.
It's a pleasure to be in the studio. We saw drama yesterday. Well, fortunately for Brazil, well, from their own point of view, they were able to stay in the tournament. So it's good to be alive.
Anyway, it's good to be alive. So actually, we are starting. I want to actually last week you didn't see Jimmy. Jimmy was somewhere. So normally we see a cowboy. So Jimmy is back. Jimmy, yes. How was Brazil?
Well, Brazil had fantastic experiences. I interacted with a lot of Brazilians that actually felt that they did not have the kind of marquee team that they really would have loved to have, but good enough, they are doing well. They might not have had the best team, but you imagine the World Cup experience and you're playing on home turf and you exit at the second round stage, it's unimaginable. That's number one. Number two, there were certain things about the Brazilians that I got to find out. They were talking about Messi, and immediately you mention Messi, what you have is a thumbs down. When you mention Neymar, it's always a thumbs up. When you now say Brazil, yeah, everybody's excited because it's the World Cup period. Very expensive for a lot of people. A lot of Nigerians were there. Disappointment in some logistic arrangements here and there, but Porto Alegre, you had the likes of Kano Nwankwo get mobbed by Argentine fans, and there were also accusations of some of their fans actually robbing some Nigerian journalists and all that. But it's always an admixture of pain and gain. You understand? But the World Cup is what it is. It's always a fantastic experience. It was fantastic to see a lot of nationals from different countries expressing themselves. The Brazilians were so hospitable. And, when it's about the World Cup, you can't count Brazil out. It's always a fantastic experience.
When it's about the World Cup, you can't count Brazil out. I think Brazil, all that Brazil does is the World Cup. I don't know. Of course, some of us did... took some ride in that Marco Polo, by the very, very strong bus that that emanated from Brazil when the university, and shuttling from one campus to the other, the great Marco P. I know university students, you will remember that. But then Brazil is known for football, samba. Larry, here is a country that is hosting for the second time. And here is a country that has won the World Cup 5 times out of... They've not won it on home soil. Yeah. They've won it on the continent apart from Africa. What would it have been like yesterday? Of course, those of you who are watching also that yesterday, it was through the skin of their teeth that Brazil qualified. They scored first, and Sanchez equalized. And gradually, we are in Lagos, so pardon me if I say this. In Yoruba land, they said, Yobale, the labalaba fin wobo. You understand? And this labalaba was almost like the butterfly. Was about to fly out. And before you knew it, man, It was penalty. What would it have been? How disastrous would it have been if Brazil had been kicked out in the second round?
It will have been such a big disaster of monumental proportion if Brazil had gone out yesterday. Don't forget that in 1950 they actually hosted that tournament, and disappointingly they lost in the final to Uruguay. In that very famous victory at the Maracanã, and that to so many Brazilians is actually the darkest day of Brazilian football. But they have come out of it. They've gone, as you rightly mentioned, they've gone on to other soils, and they have actually won tournament. Scolari did it in 2002. He left the stage and came back again, and so many people, I believe that he was also going to do it. And we saw yesterday a lot of players didn't come to the party, particularly Neymar, Hawk, and Fred. I thought the Chileans actually played better, particularly in the second half and in extra time. Pinilla almost even got that heartbreaking goal in extra time. It wouldn't have been funny. And imagine Brazil go out at the second round, not just to any other team, but to Chileans who are also South Americans, and they have spent how much? $16 million.
Larry, a legend was made yesterday, Julio Cesar.
Definitely. And he's a goalkeeper that played for QPR and couldn't even get a starting berth.
Became a top choice.
And he went on loan, and then he saved two kicks.
No, wait. Julio Cesar. Yep. Yesterday it was Hail Cesar. Hail Cesar. Because you're talking about a goalkeeper that kept just one match for QPR last season. Exactly. And then went to MLS. He's playing MLS. Toronto, I think Toronto. So he's playing MLS. I mean, one of those lesser league where a Jermaine Defoe or whatever, you say you go for retirement. But that is where you say coaches have confidence in certain players.
Some players have got the pedigree.
I think it is belief, gentlemen. Don't you think that because Scolari has he believed in the ability of Julio Cesar. Forget where you are playing. Exactly. Brazilians have players who are playing in Moscow, who are playing anywhere in the world, and they don't look at the league you are playing.
Exactly, but it also has to do with the fact that Julio Cesar himself had the pedigree. So they were not going to do without the pedigree of Julio Cesar, because they know that when he's having the green and gold jersey on, he's always putting his heart into it. The determination is always there for him. He knows that he's got to do it because being Brazilian #1 means a lot.
Being Brazilian means a lot, and then at this point, I think probably you can join us now. You can follow us on Twitter at channels_sports. You can also follow us at my Twitter handle at Ken Ochonogo. You see them; it's right there on your screen. And also, we're opening the lines even at this segment for you to join us. Tell us, your World Cup experience and your expectations for Nigeria, because we'll come back to that later on. Algeria, Nigeria. Somebody said probably if Liberia has qualified, because it's always the Nigeria. Maybe they would have gone to the second round. The first time Africa is having two teams at this particular level of the World Cup. So you can join us and be part of Let Us Share World Cup experience. The bonus round is going on. It will take us down. It will take us really down to the other side of the show, right to the last minute of this show. We shall talk about that. By qualifying for the second round, it means they've earned more than the minimum $8 million that's supposed to come in. Ghana, Nigeria, gentlemen, it took the president of Ghana to fly in $3 million in a private jet to Ghana to resolve that. And it took the president of Nigeria, President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, to talk to the players, to guarantee. I mean, what does it tell us? I'm sorry, about football administration and
in Africa.
In Africa,
we don't have it. What you don't have, you can give. Nemo dat quod non abet. Latin phrase for what you don't have, you cannot give. And that's why the same crisis bedeviled the Cameroonians, bedeviled the Ghanaians, now threatening Nigeria, at this stage of the World Cup. I think there should be a template, particularly for African teams. There should be a template. $8 million comes in. I'm sure we will not hear anything about it until the next 4 years again.
Larry,
there should be a template.
It begs the question, is it not a case of trust not being present in all what they do? Even when the administrators really mean good, they've got good intentions. The fact that from the past experiences of these players, they had always felt that they had been, used and dumped. So they are always looking for that grab it now mentality that, sinks into the team. and they will want to get whatever they can grab now.
But you've said it all yourself.
Okay, let me bring you guys back. Let me, because